much more yellow when the leaves are first coming out, and it was kind of attractive. But what happens ultimately is that the leaf goes entirely dark green, and within about a month you won't be able to see the variation. Tones. The tulip trees that I've seen have been flowering pretty well, and they came through the ice storm fairly well too, which surprised me because they can be weak-wooded with the limbs as slender as they are. This tree is beginning to go into its mature habit, which is on this first major limb coming off the side of this head. That one will become quite dominant in the lower crown, and there's a couple up there that are getting quite large, and they'll begin to dominate in the upper crown. So the original conical shape that these things have in their youth gradually change so that they become more oval upright, and with extreme age they get rounded and very, very obovate in extreme age. But this one has been growing in a very classic pattern for tulip tree. And the tulip tree seems to be one that I've not noticed anything peculiar happening to, notwithstanding who's talking about it again in your schoolyard. I think that's just sheer stress, lack of appropriate care during last summer, and then getting hit hard by the cold.
On one of my tulip trees, part of it died out, but the other part didn't. Mm-hmm. Would there be an explanation for that?
Was the part that died close to a building wall, fence, other tree?
No.
It was out in the open?
Yeah.
Okay. Where was how was it? Was it like...
The whole stem died back right to the ground.
So it was a two-stem plant?
No, it has about maybe 6 stems on it.
From the ground?
That's correct.
That's atypical. So the tree is simply saying, this is atypical for me. I am a one-trunk tree.
Oh, it's not a liriodendron affair. It's just a regular magnolia.
Oh, a magnolia. And you will see that there's damage on here from leaf miner, which is quite common on this species. But again, you'll notice that there are a lot of leaves that are unmarked entirely. And again, it's because things had a slow start, and the insect didn't manage to get into the leaves until much later than it normally would. So it's not as bad as it typically is. Leaf miner? Yeah. Normally these things get completely skeletonized by mid-July sometimes, and they look awful. You can control this really easy with dormant oil. Sprayed in March a couple of times. Get all the surfaces of the twigs, etc., and they'll smother the insect eggs. But they just had a slow start, so the plant has had some extra time to toughen up its leaves to get them fully expanded to the point where the insect can't get into them. So they are recovering from the winter otherwise quite a peg. I've not seen this one quite so heavily in leaf before. It's usually at this point of the year it's looking pretty shabby already, but it's just been delayed enough that these trees will probably end up with a boost this year from the growing season, provided it doesn't get too brutally dry. So elms in general have done well.